All right, welcome back. Time for the next video. So at this point, you set up Replit and you set up GitHub and you've linked them. And now we're ready to dive into the first part of the pre-work. So you'll notice here that I'm all set up here, ready to go. Here's the pre-work, and here I am at Replit. So I'm going to log in again to Replit, and I'm going to continue with GitHub. And notice that if I click down to recent, I already have these REPLs here. So notice I have this REPL, Cohort 3 Prework Zamanscam-1, and that I created 4 minutes ago because I just made that the part 1 video. But I also have this older one, which I created a couple of hours ago, but as I said, the sound was really bad, so I wanted to re-record it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my REPLs because I want to get rid of that old one. Just so it's not confusing. So I'm going to delete it. So you can always create new REPLs and get rid of REPLs and whatever. But I'm just going to click on this to bring the active one back up. And the first thing I'm going to do, notice I click on README and it has the changes from before. I'm going to click on version control and notice that there's nothing to click here. Everything is good. And so now I'm ready to work. So I'm going to go and where am I? Well, I'm ready for assignment 1. So assignment 1 has you basically making your first Java program. And so this will step you through basically the Hello World program, the first program. But you should really read through the entirety of chapter 1 in Think Java. And I want to really emphasize this, that these little videos and the notes here on these pages are not the whole story. They're just little summaries and the key points. But the book has way more, so you're going to really want to go through this entire thing. This will give you much more of an explanation of how your program will work and be run, and you can try little things here, and there is so much more for it. That's what you really need to do. So you really do have to go through the textbook and not just not just be like, oh, I'm just going to look at this one little page. It's not going to give you the background you need. And so, but this video is, and the videos that I make are there to help you along the way. So anyway, I'm not going to really come back to this much for now because I want to keep it on the REPL. But as you're watching this, you might want to keep this page open somewhere so you can refer to it. So here it says that I'm going to make a folder named Pre01 and then I'm going to create Hello Java in it. So let's go here and I can create a new folder. If I make a mistake, if I add a new file, like, oh, I added it, oh, it's a file, not a folder, I can just click here and I can delete it. Not a big deal. So you can just use this interface, but I'm going to create a new file called Pre01. And let's say I accidentally create the file here called hello.java. Well, it did it in the right place, but if it was in the wrong place, I could have just dragged it in. So you'll notice that this is Pre01 hello Java, README, come here, hello Java, etc. Now, whenever you create a Java program, it's always going to be in a file named something.java. That's your source code. And you will then have to compile it using the Java compiler into Java bytecode, at which point you can run it. And the first thing is the name of the program. Java programs are set up with classes, and the name of the file will always be the name of the class. So we're creating a class named hello. So it's got to be in a file called hello.java with the H being uppercase. And so we're going to start typing it in. So this is, just boilerplate stuff. These are basically saying import information, bring in information to give me access to the input, output, IO, and utility functions. We'll talk about it and where it's good to use and where you shouldn't use it and all of that later in the class, when we get to the class. But for now, you just put it on the top of your programs. And now this file is going to be this Java construct called a class. So we have to say this is a public class and it's called hello. And everything between the open and closed brackets is in the hello class. And again, chapter 1 in the textbook will talk more about this. All right. And then we need code to run. And code to run has to go in things called methods. And there has to be a special method called public static void main. It's called main. And then in the parentheses, it needs this thing called arg string bracket arg. So it's just got to be exactly like this. It's one of these Java requirements. I guess it's kind of like in Scratch. You need to drag that, click on this button for the start button. You got to do that. Java, you need this. This is the smallest and simplest Java program. And you'll notice that it uses certain special words, which are blue here. Replit sets them blue. Notice the name hello, file is named hello. And then everything between its brackets are the hello class. And everything between these brackets are the main method. And inside the main method, you can put Java statements. And so we will do that. And a Java statement, as well as these imports, always end in these semicolons. All right, so this is our first Java program. Now, to run this, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the shell. And the shell is like a little terminal. So if I look here, it says I'm in my Prework folder, and I type in ls. I've got a folder called pre01 and a file called readme. And the readme file is indeed this readme file. And pre01 is indeed this folder. And under this folder, if I say do an ls, which is, ls, which is list the files, give me the files in pre01, it has hello.java. Now, ls is the Linux or Unix equivalent of dir for directory, but so I will use ls. So basically, you're in this little terminal, and we want to go into the pre01 folder or directory. So I do cd for change directory, and then a space, pre01. And you've got to type things exact. All right? If you don't type it exact, it won't work. If I want to do an ls here, hello.java. If I want to go up to the previous level, cd space ... means up a level. And if I want to come back down to pre01, there we go. Now, if I don't put in that dot to go up, it gives me an error, and I'm still in pre01 because that's not the command. It's not cd ... without a space. It's cd, change directory is the command, space, and then wherever. So anyway, now if I want to compile this program, I have to type javac and hello.java. And that basically compiles the program or translates it from Java source code into Java, basically a Java object code, basically code that can be run on the Java virtual machine. So it created this hello.class. And now to run the program, and I'm just going to make these smaller so we have a little more room, I can type Java and then the name of the program. Notice no dot class, it's just Java and then hello. And there it runs. Now, if there's a problem with your program, like let's say we forgot this semicolon, and I'm just using the up arrow to get to the previous command, it gives us the error. Or we can get other errors, like if we have, what if we name this hello lowercase? It should, it gives us the error. Read the errors. They are not always helpful, but frequently they are. Or let's say we cut this line and put it here, not inside the method. Gives us another error. So everything's got to be exact. So this is different from, well, in something like Scratch, you have to be exact as well. But in Scratch, it's what I sometimes called jigsaw puzzle programming, in that things only fit in one way. In which case, you can keep just moving things around until they snap together, and then it works. Which means you're going to get fewer errors, but you're also not going to understand the ramifications of doing things. So that's why I said everything has to be exact here. So anyway, now that it's all working, or it should be working. I'm going to compile it again. You always want to test it. Even if you, oh, I just changed it back because invariably there's a little mistake. And that's it. And now we're good. So we have now written this program. It works. Everything is good, but we're not done. There's one step left. If we go over to our GitHub repo, which I have somewhere in here, we notice that if I reload this page, I don't have the assignment here. I've got to send this up to GitHub. So that's the last step you always do. You always click, whenever you've made a change, click on the version control. It'll say, hey, we made these changes. And so I'm going to put in added hello, I'll just say added Prework 1 and hello.java. Click on commit and push. Now it seems to be done because no more button there. And everything is the same here. But when we go to GitHub, we got pre01 and we've got hello.java. So that's pretty much it. So that's everything here. That's the system of what you're going to do. That's the walkthrough. Again, you got to really use the textbook, read the textbook. So for example, for data types, when you look at that part, there will be another video with some stuff there, but read chapter 2, read chapter 3, look over this, and then ultimately do the assignment. Always sync it up. And then a final thing I'll mention here, this little shell part is a Linux shell or Linux terminal, and you'll learn some of it along the way, but if you want to learn more about it, there should be some help sections on Replit under the learning part. I'm not entirely positive under the learn part, but certainly if you just search for Linux shell or Unix shell or shell tutorial, you can find good stuff on that there. All right, so anyway, that's this one, and just keep working your way through. All right, see you soon.